Hey, welcome back to High School Game Day here on the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. Please be joined now by Jackson Indians head football coach Ryan Nesbitt. Coach Nesbitt, friend of the show, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks, Guy. Thanks for having me on.
You bet, Coach. An outstanding season. This at this point, 12-0 is the record. And first off, talk a little bit about this last week's game with CBC, a 45-42 win. Knew probably it was going to be high scoring coming in, but tell us about the victory.
Yeah, honestly, going into it, I wasn't sure how the game was going to play out. I didn't know if both defenses would be a little bit better than what people expected, or how the flow was going to be. Certainly didn't have us jumping out quite like we did in the bingo card, but our kids did a tremendous job of preparing. Obviously, playing at home, huge turnout from our community, our fans, students. So it was a big time win for not only our program but community as well.
Tell us a little bit about the offensive play. Obviously, the offensive line, and you got great quarterback play as well. Tell us a little bit about those guys.
Yeah, we had several kids individually play incredibly well, but quarterback play was really important. Drew Parsons played incredibly well. He finished the day 15 to 23 for 256 and 3 touchdowns. Ran it 21 times for 130 net and a touchdown there as well. So he played well. Offensive line did a good job. We ran for 200, threw for again 256. So offense played incredibly well.
Now you got to travel to Lee Summit, which I still to this day don't understand with Pattonville being 110 miles away from you and Lee Summit being 350 miles away from you. But they're 8-4. What do you know about Lee Summit?
One, they're as hot as anybody right now in Missouri. They run the heck out of the football. They've got tremendous athletes carrying it. They're big, athletic, strong, and tough up front. And they play good defense. And that's a recipe for winning games at any level, but certainly at the high school level. Running the ball and playing good defense. So, it's for us. It was a good win last week, but right back to 0-0. Just like anybody else trying to get to 1-0, and then that process of preparation all over again.
The weather, as you look at the weather, rain and 40, low 40s, temperature wise, is that a situation you've got to play in this year, or is this going to be your first time playing in the rain and 40 degrees?
We've had temps, probably have had temps and combined precipitation, but I think the moisture will have minimal impact. I think the temps, kids will feel that. Certainly the wind will be a factor. It's a north-south field. And, so you'll see that play a little bit of impact. But all in all, it's playoff football, and I think both clubs will be excited to play.
When I go on the air for our live football show at 3 o'clock and I see that Jackson defeated Lee Summit, what's one or two stats that you're going to be able to point at to say, hey, this is why we won this football game, is because of right here. We controlled this, or we didn't turn it over. What are one or two stats?
I think the same stats that you look at weekly, probably just about any ball club looks at, and that's rushing stat and turnover takeaway battle. So we'll have to continue to do a good job there and take care of the football in the elements.
Again, we're visiting with Ryan Nesbitt, the head football coach for the Jackson Indians, as they prepare to travel to Lee Summit here in the state semifinal game. Coach, what are your travel plans? When are you leaving? You going up a day early or 2 days early?
Yeah, we'll leave Friday morning, stay in the hotel overnight, and get into the process. So we talked to our kids, and thankfully, we've had a really mature group, and they've been so fun to coach this year. And so I think distractions will be minimal, and all in all, it'll be about the ball game on Saturday at 1.
Very good, Coach. Now it's Thanksgiving week, and it's always good to be playing during Thanksgiving because you're in the Final Four at least in state football action. Do you have a go-to? Like, what's your favorite side dish at Thanksgiving meal?
One, it's an absolute blessing to still be practicing. I've been one of those guys that have jealously looked at other programs and the Thanksgiving Day pictures and dreamed of what that'd be like. So excited to have one this year, and very appreciative of that. But I'd say a side dish, I've evolved over the years, and I've become a fan of stuffing, where I think as a young kid, stuffing was not my fave. So I'm a big stuffing guy now.
Very good. Well, Coach, hey, congratulations on reaching this point of the season. And hey, go out and win this one, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bet. Thanks. Appreciate you having me on.
You bet. Ryan Nesbitt, Jackson Indians. We'll be back after these messages. Hey, welcome back to High School Game Day here on the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. We go to Seneca High School. We welcome in Seneca head football coach Cody Hilburn. Coach, thanks for your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Guy.
Yeah, and thanks for it twice today, because for people outside of this studio don't realize that we did this once and I muted my mic. But Coach, I appreciate it. Coach, take us back to last week. A very good team in Mountain Grove, and you guys got out on top early. Tell us about that game.
Yeah, that was our number one key. I think anytime you go on the road in the playoffs, you have to prepare for being the visiting team and a fired up home crowd, and that was definitely the case at Mountain Grove. Their community came out in full force, and it was a great atmosphere. And we knew we had to start fast, and fortunately we did that. We got the ball first and went down and scored in 5 plays, and then kicked off, and our kickoff team forced a turnover, and we got the ball back, and we scored on the very next play. And so we were up 14-0, only 3 minutes into the ball game right there. And it kind of took the crowd out of it a little bit, and we were able to maintain the rest of the game.
What was that atmosphere like for your coaches? And I've talked about this throughout the season. The Big Eight and the SCA are very similar conferences, top to bottom. They're very talented, but their fans travel well. What was that atmosphere like, and what does your kids or your coaches and your fans think of it?
Yeah, similar to Seneca, it's a small school community that you can tell they support the heck out of their kids and they support the heck out of their football program. And I felt like the entire town of Mountain Grove was there. And then, of course, we're going to travel really well. I know we pulled in at, whatever time it was, and there was a huge group of Seneca people already tailgating that had beat the bus there. And so when you got off the bus, you started to feel it a little bit. It felt different that first Saturday afternoon, and a great atmosphere. That's why the kids do what they do, is to play in atmospheres like that.
Well, there's nothing better than Saturday afternoon high school football, because you at that point that you're playing in the postseason.
100%.
You guys, you've played in the back-to-back state championship games, and maybe 5, postseasons in a row, fifth straight. But for this group of kids, what does that mean, that experience that they bring into it, knowing, hey, we've done this before? Is that something that helps not only kids but the coaching staff?
Yeah, I think it's big. We've been able to tweak our routine for these afternoon games, every year, and we're in a spot that we like what we do. So yeah, when we go on the road for a 1:00 game, we have the routine of what that looks like, as far as, feeding the kids breakfast and things like that. And then, this week we're fortunate to get to host, and we have that routine set in place for what that looks like. And more than anything, we've been able to practice on Thanksgiving week and practice on Thanksgiving for the 4th year in a row. And so our kids and parents and they know what to expect, that, and there's no questions about that. And our community takes pride in us being able to do that.
Yeah, you're hosting a St. Clair team at 1 p.m. on Saturday. Kind of hard to find out information about St. Clair. Tell us what you've got garnered as far as watching film and things like that. What do you know about St. Clair?
Yeah, a really good football team. A very similar identity as ours, and the fact that they want to run the football, and they're very successful in doing that. Starts with their quarterback, one of the more talented athletes we've seen all year long. 6'5", 200-pound kid that can do it all. He's a dual threat kid that's rushed for 2,000 yards on the year. Once he gets out, he is extremely athletic. And then they have a running back that's equally as effective, and he's rushed for 1,700 yards. So they're built for playoff football, and that's how we try to build our identity as well. And they're going to try to establish the run and establish the line of scrimmage.
And as I've talking, to coaches around the state, weather plays a big part in this weekend's game. Some people getting rain, some getting snow on it. What's the weather going to be like, and how's that going to affect the Seneca Indians?
Yeah, as of right now, there's about a 90% chance of rain, so that's what we're preparing for. We've played in some rain games, and we have a plan throughout the week to prepare for rain and wetting the football and things like that to make sure we're ready. But we tell our kids all year long that we try to build what we do, especially offensively, for playoff football. This weather's coming, and so you better be able to rely on your run game, and that's who we try to be. And I think it's a game that probably comes down to who can win the line of scrimmage on Saturday.
Now, going into this contest, you guys as a team relatively healthy. I know it's week 12 or 13, I guess, but there's going to be bumps and bruises. But outside of that, relatively healthy.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's 100% this time of year, but yeah, we don't have anything significant. We have throughout the year, and we've had to battle that adversity. But we have everybody back right now. Our quarterback's coming off a MCL sprain where he was out for 4 weeks, but he's played the last couple of weeks, and he's getting really close to being back to 100%.
Outstanding, Coach. Well, it's Thanksgiving. Tell us, a couple, three things that you're thankful for here as you could kind of reflect on Thanksgiving of things that you're thankful for.
Yeah, my wife and my kids, I can't overstate how supportive they are of what I do. And I think in order to do a good job as a football coach, that has to be the case. And I spend way too many hours away from my home, and I have to miss way too many events. And I never feel the pressure from my wife or my kids of me not being there sometimes. They totally understand that I'm also responsible for 64 boys and giving them an opportunity to do something special. And so what they mean to me just can't be overstated.
All right, let's stand behind you in the buffet line. We're going through what are you saving room on your plate for? What's the one or two things you're not going without on Thanksgiving?
I'm pretty black and white on Thanksgiving. Now, I'm going turkey, and I'm going mashed potatoes and gravy, and I'm going chicken and noodles, and that's all that's going on my plate. I'm not messing around with any of the fluff. I'm sticking to the meat and potatoes.
Outstanding. Well, Coach Hilburn, tremendous luck here as you go into this Saturday game against St. Clair. Go out and win it. We'll talk to you again next week.
Sounds great. Thanks, guy.
Hey, you bet. Hey, you're watching and listening to High School Game Day here on the Missouri Sports Network, presented by the Missouri State Highway Patrol, who reminds us, take that 3 seconds and buckle up. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow. Back after these messages with Jackson head football coach Ryan Nesbitt. Hey, welcome back to High School Game Day here on the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. And as always, the Missouri State Highway Patrol reminds us to take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow. Guy Newcomb, the scoreboard guy, alongside here during a High School Game Day, and pleased to be joined now, making, I believe, his first appearance on the Missouri Sports Network, Mount View Liberty head football coach Jansen Ackland. Coach Ackland, thanks so much for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
You bet. Now, and we talked a little bit off the air. I think I've interviewed the other three of the Acklands, including your dad, Jairus, and Jalen. I actually interviewed Jalen when he was in the CFL. He was in Canada. Did the interview from a hotel room, but it's good to finally get to visit with you, and congratulations on a tremendous season.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
First off, let's take us back to last week, 10-1, going into a Lamar team and a team and the entire community of Mount View Liberty is very familiar with. Tell us a little bit about heading into that game and the emotions going into that game.
Yeah, it was, definitely kind of hard to hide from the past of Liberty and Lamar, but we really try to preach to our kids at this point. That's in the past. We can't worry about that and just worry about, this is the first time we could possibly get past the quarterfinal week. It doesn't matter what team it is necessarily. We just try to focus on, getting our game plan ready and focusing on playing the best football Liberty football has played up to this point. So, and our kids just did a great job buying into that. They didn't really listen to the noise outside of our locker room, and just really proud of the way our guys responded to that.
And a tremendous defensive effort. Holding Lamar to, I believe, 7 points. Tell us about that and that defensive effort and who kind of stood out there.
Our defense has been solid for us all year. We knew coming into the season, returning 9 of our guys from last year when we had a really good defensive effort overall. We were going to kind of lean on them. They were going to be our strong point this season. And, Lamar has a ton of talent. They run a great system there. So we just really tried to, work hard, game plan, watch film with all of our guys. And, they just did their job to the best of their ability, did everything we asked them to do. And, Reed Toon is a returning all-stater at linebacker for us. And, I mean, he played an outstanding game. He was our guy that, made all of our calls, all of our adjustments for us. And then around him, we have a bunch of, great dudes up front. Matt Bushong, Hayden Oziah, Paxton Hunter, Jaron Rutledge. I mean, all those guys, Preston Smothers, they all came up with big plays for us. And then our D-backs came up. They played aggressive in the run game. We really wanted to be, taking away. They have a lot of speed, so we were trying to take away the edge. And our D-backs, Kyle Roberts, Jasper Melby, Parker Toon, Eddie Rodriguez, they all came up, made big plays for us. So, it's a full defensive effort to be able to stop a great team like that to 7 points.
Were there any adjustments that had to be made at halftime, or did you have to make any adjustments at halftime? Obviously, you're playing well.
Yes, we did make a couple. I mean, they did have a couple big runs on us early, and it was just a couple things on the edge that we had to adjust. But another thing I got to give credit to is the assistant coaches did a phenomenal job. Coach Gastineau, Reagan Gastineau is our defensive coordinator. Coach Pruitt, Coach Jarris, Coach Holland, all those guys worked tirelessly to get a game plan together. So they did a great job.
How many of your assistant coaches grew up in that atmosphere, played there?
What's pretty cool about that is every coach we have on staff, high school and middle school, played, all 4 years and grew up here. I mean, everybody we have is all in on Liberty football and has been their whole life. So it's a pretty cool family we got going on.
As you're mentioning those names, I've been doing this 19 years. And I'm thinking, I recognize that name. I recognize that name.
Yeah.
So that's got to be tremendous there for that community as well.
Oh, yes, sir. It's awesome.
Coach, tell us a little bit. You've got, let's talk a little bit first. I talked about the adjustments made at halftime, but you made some adjustments during the season. Following that week 6 loss at Mountain Grove, you changed quarterbacks. Tell us what went through your mind there.
Yeah, that was a tough decision, obviously, with him being a freshman, Graham being a freshman, but our offense just wasn't clicking. It just wasn't as efficient. We weren't executing the way that we, wanted to, especially up to that point being week 6. And it's something we had talked about, earlier on the season, but we wanted to wait and see how things played out. So, I think whenever a loss happens like that, whenever you have a talented team that you're better than what you just put on the field, it's time to, if you have something you've been keeping in your pocket, it's time to see how it goes. And, that was the week to do it. And, our freshman quarterback, Graham, stepped in, and I mean, he's done way more than what I even imagined doing with him this year. So all credit to him, and, just being a very coachable kid and just buying into everything as a freshman. And all of our older guys, some people might say, they don't really like whenever you bring in a young guy, whenever you've had all this, going on. But our seniors, our juniors have, welcomed him with open arms, took care of him. So, this bond that we have in our locker room is pretty special. And, I think that speaks volumes to it, having a freshman step in the way that he has.
Well, yeah, I mean, this kid's 2 years away from, getting into concerts free with an adult, or, probably still getting carded at the ice cream shop. What academically, I mean, is he just a very intelligent, football? I mean, I know he's intelligent, but is he just football smart?
He is. I mean, he's an exceptional kid all around. He studies the game. He watches football all day Saturday, all day Sunday. He knows. I mean, he's just a guy that's all in on football. I think he's going to be a big timer for us.
Who's the first person you heard from after you won that game, outside of the folks that were there? I mean, who were you getting texts from or calls from?
From the Lamar game?
Yes, sir.
A lot of my, old teammates in high school, they're saying, we finally did it. We finally got them, all that kind of stuff. And then, some of my teammates from college as well. And then, just coaches, friends, just everybody saying they're, really proud of what we were able to accomplish. So it was pretty awesome.
Now you've got Blair Oaks, 12-0, defending Class 3 state champion. What do you know about Ted LePage and that Blair Oaks team?
Oh, they're a well-oiled machine like they always are. They got a lot of speed, a lot of talent, just very disciplined, very fundamental. It's a very well-ran program, obviously. So, we know we have our work cut out for us, but, we're confident that our physicality up front can do a great job. And, we just got to be accountable on defense. We talk about doing your job every single play, trusting your brother to do his. So we're going to lean on, a great defensive effort and see what we can get going offensively.
2 weeks ago they played Centralia. That was 19-8. Do you take anything out of that film and maybe talk to Centralia, or just look at that film and see what they did to hold them just to 19 points?
Yeah, for sure. We've been studying that one quite a bit, just because, they're a team that I think they averaged around 45 to 50 points. So a great effort like that from Centralia is definitely something to study and take a couple things from. So yeah, we've been looking at that, and hopefully a couple things that we got from that film can pay off for us.
Now the weather, showers, and I think maybe mid-40s. Is that going to play into your favor?
We think so. You never know till the show's out there on the field, but with the element of playing on grass that's wet, possibly snowy, we're hoping that can definitely play to our favor.
What are the plans between, let's say it's Thanksgiving Day? How do you celebrate that? I've been talking with coaches all morning about what they're doing. Their coaches, their families are bringing meals to the to the practice facility and things of that nature. But it's got to feel good to practice on Thanksgiving Day.
Oh yeah, it's pretty awesome. Some kids say, "Yeah, I got a Thanksgiving here, a Thanksgiving there," and you kind of feel bad whenever people have to work around the schedule. But it's also a pretty good problem to have. It's a pretty special time for us to be here, because you hear about all these other teams that are practicing over Thanksgiving, and you're just always like, man, it'd be awesome if we could ever get to that point, just because this is pretty uncommon to have this opportunity. So yeah, we've just tried to do our best as far as giving them time and telling them, obviously it's very important to us that you guys spend time with your family and enjoy all that time together, but make sure whenever we're here, we're locked in and we're ready to play our best football on Saturday.
Speaking of Thanksgiving, Coach, obviously it's Thanksgiving weekend. What are just 2 or 3 things maybe that you're going to be able to reflect on and be thankful for?
I think the first thing that come to mind is obviously my family, my wife. I got 2 boys, and during football season, I'm probably at the field house studying film, or with these boys studying film, or working out, just whatever it may be. I'm probably with them a little bit more than what she would like me to be. So definitely thankful for her being willing to let me just follow my passion, my love for Liberty football. And then just the rest of my family, always supporting the community, always supporting, and obviously the coaching staff. We work our butts off to just try and be the best version that we can make this football program. And then most importantly, the kids, all their buy-in. It's a year-round thing for us. Like I said, we just want to make this thing the best we possibly can, and it takes everybody. So just thankful for everybody involved in Liberty football, and appreciate everything they do for us.
All right, Coach. Well, okay. Let's say I'm following you through the buffet line. What are you saving room on your plate for? What is your go-to side dish at Thanksgiving?
Go-to side dish probably has to be mashed potatoes and brown gravy. Definitely not a white gravy guy, but the mashed potatoes and brown gravy. I'll get like 3 helpings of that probably.
All right.
That's my go-to.
Well, Coach, I greatly appreciate you being generous with your time here over the holiday season. Hey, and we've got a rule here at the Missouri Sports Network. In order to become a friend of the show, you have to make 3 appearances. So you have to win Saturday, make an appearance, and then win the championship, make an appearance. You'll be a friend of the show. Is that fair?
Yes, sir. That sounds like a great plan to me.
All right. Coach, hey, God bless. Thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving and good luck.
Yes, sir. God bless you. Thank you.
Jason Ackland, head football coach at Mountain View Liberty, back after this. Hey, welcome back to High School Game Day here on the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. As always, presented by Lyona Laborers Local 663. Hey, reminding us, hey, drive safely in those work zones. Hey, those folks want to go home to their families for the holidays as well. Pleased to be joined once again by Platte County head football coach Bill Oots. Coach, thanks so much for your time today.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate you. I appreciate your dedication to the sport.
Coach, I tell you what, you guys had an outstanding run of 2 years worth of runs, the longest current winning streak in the state of Missouri. But going back into this Class 5 tournament, going back 2 weeks ago, you had Rockhurst 29-22, and then Green Valley 46-33 last week. But talk about those 2 games. That Rockhurst game, I watched it, and that was an exciting game.
Yeah, it was a tremendous game. I think, when you throw in the fact that it was the playoffs, it adds to it. Just historically, you're talking about a private school in Kansas City that is, maybe one of the most profound or known schools in the city. It's kind of it's obviously a very good program, well-ran program. So they dropped down to Class 5 this year, and then we haven't been in Class 5 that long, really. So I think if you'd ask anybody, longer than 5 years ago, if we would have ever played each other, it probably would have never happened. So it was kind of a special meeting in that sense on top of it. And then just a tremendous high school game and a lot of great players out there and pretty sound football. So that was a big one for us.
Take us through that fourth quarter. What's going through your mind?
Well, I tell you what, first of all, in the first half, we had some situations where our defense just stepped up and held them to field goals, which was going to be the best scenario that could have happened for us. We gave them some short fields, and so credit to the defense to be able to do that. And then the fourth quarter was kind of crazy in its own right. Just back and forth. We scored with, I think, 3.5 minutes left or something of that nature, and have them at 4th and 9. And I'm thinking, okay, do we have enough time to knee this out? I mean, I'm already moving on to our victory formation, and they made a play. We had a little bit of a blown coverage thing, and they scored. We get the ball back with 1:47, I believe, but we did have 2 timeouts, so we were able to march down the field. And everybody asked me if I was, I don't think I ever thought about putting it in that situation where it could be the last game we played. I just hadn't put myself there yet, and so I really wasn't worried about it. And people think I'm lying about that, but I'm not. I mean, we practice this every day. Every weekend in practice we do 2-minute drill with less time than what we had, and our kids made some plays when they needed to, and then we had the ball on the 1-yard line with 6 seconds left and a timeout. So we went ahead and ran it, and luckily punched it in there and snuck one out for sure.
Very good. It was exciting. Marriott, I believe it's Rocco Marriott, the quarterback, gets in the end zone, I think.
Yeah, he did. And we obviously weighed heavily on him in that last drive with either, obviously his arm, but his legs are just as good. And so that whole group is just a gritty group. And, and he's right there at the top of it to where he's able to, he kind of wills some things to happen sometimes. So felt very comfortable with him on the 1-yard line. I'll just put it that way.
You know, they get Grain Valley last week, 46-33, the victory there. You know, after the excitement of the week before, how do you bring the kids back down to get? Hey, we still got more games to play.
Well, and I think that's one of the things, and I want to give Grain Valley a tremendous amount of credit. I mean, they played an excellent game, and you know, there's not a whole lot of love lost between the two of us. We've seen each other a lot in the last several years. We know each other well, and so and the success we had with them early in the season, you know, week 2, a lot of things have changed since week 2. I think Grain Valley's done a great job and gotten better, and you know. And so have we, but it's like it's just a whole different scenario than maybe what you saw week 2, and then us coming off of such a monumental win that we did against Rockhurst. You know, that's kind of tough. That's kind of tough for high school kids to wrap their brain around a little bit. So there was maybe a little bit of that. You know, just a trap game mentality, maybe. You know, I mean, just a lot of factors last week that kind of played into it. And but I don't want to take anything away from them. They did an excellent job running the ball against us, and we knew if we could get a couple score lead that we'd be in good shape, but they just never allowed us to do that. They were able to use the ground game really, really well, and hats off to them. They played a great game, and luckily our kids found a way to, you know, keep fighting in a full team game when the defense was giving up some yards. Our offense was still able to score points. So, you know, we'll take it. I told the kids 3 weeks ago, as soon as the playoff season started, I said, I don't care if it's 65-62 or 2-0, as long as we're the winning team, that's all I really care about. And so, you know, we pulled one together and made it through there as well.
Now you travel to Kirkwood. You know,
Yep.
The Pioneers are 10-1 on the season. You know, what do you know about this Kirkwood team?
They're very explosive. You know, that 10-1 record is very well earned. They're solid in a lot of areas. Their receiving core is as good as anybody. The quarterback's good also. You know, and they're able to do what they want to do. That's the big thing with when you watch their games. It's like they've been able to kind of dictate the way they play. You know, I really haven't seen a game on any of their film where it didn't look like they were in control of the scenario. So, you know, if you can do that and be comfortable, then that's a big part of winning. And you know, they just kind of seem that way. You know, the one game they lost against Lafayette, you know, Lafayette's a really good, explosive team and very similar to them. And that was kind of I think that was kind of whoever had the ball last type game. So, you know, they could very easily be undefeated and that would have been well earned, you know. So they do a lot of good things. They're sound and you know, they play with a high tempo. So we definitely have our hands full.
Again, visiting with Platte County head football coach Bill Oots. Coach, is there a team on your schedule that you could maybe compare to Kirkwood that's similar in their style?
You know, not necessarily like a whole team to be able to say just, hey, let's go back and watch this film. It's going to look just like it. But I will say that there's definitely some parts. You know, in the conference that we play a lot of various teams. We play a lot of you know, athletic speed, and so we've seen it. Honestly, the best team on our schedule to compare them to is probably ourselves. And you know, our defense sees an offense similar to it in our own offense every week. And then, you know, and then defensively, they do a lot of man coverage and we don't see a lot of that, but we have seen it a little bit throughout the season. So, so to say one team, no, but I will say there's like bits and pieces that we've probably seen something very similar.
At what point do you start maybe peeking at the weather? I've talked to coaches all day today, and and a lot of them are not. The weather's not going to be good,
Yeah.
across the state. But there at Kirkwood, it seems to be sunny. maybe a little cool, but that's to be expected, and that's not a big deal at this time of the year. But you keeping an eye on the weather?
Well, to answer the question, when do I start peeking at it? As soon as it becomes an active forecast. So 10-day, 12-day, 15-day, whatever. As soon as I can find one that'll tell me is when I start looking at it. That's one of the big things. So we had our game scheduled for Saturday, and we moved it to Friday for that reason. St. Louis is supposed to get some snow on Saturday, and it just made more sense to move it on Friday for travel and all that other stuff. So, and I'm a big believer, and I would hate to see I just don't like to see games decided on weather. Whether I'm on the positive end or the negative end, it doesn't matter. So we're going to do what we can to stay away from that for sure. But our ADs got together, discussed it, and just felt it was going to be a much better experience to move that game on Friday and stay away from any of that stuff.
Oh, so when are you leaving?
We'll leave that morning. Yeah, the game's at 3:00. It's a 4-hour drive, so we'll leave between 8 and 9 and get on the road and make it as consistent as possible. And I think that's a key as well. I think you can get there too early. I think you can get there too late. We want these games to seem, even though they're special and they're different and all that, we still want them to. We want kids, as I mentioned earlier, you want to be comfortable, and if you can be comfortable, then you can kind of play your game and your style the way that you're used to.
Outstanding. Well, Coach, I greatly appreciate you being generous with your time here. Just a couple more questions here. Number one, it's Thanksgiving. What are some things that you can kind of recollect on maybe this past year or maybe in your life that you're thankful for?
Well, I'm extremely thankful for my family that I have. I'm extremely blessed with not only the family I was able to grow up with, but my wife's a tremendous spouse. She's bought into this profession a long time ago, and actually before we even got married, I made sure she was good with this. So she's done nothing except be a tremendous spouse and great coach's wife, and I'm blessed with 3 wonderful kids that have grown up in it and understand it and know it, and so I got to start there. You go from there, and I'm thankful for my health. I've had a few things here and there that make perspective get put back in place. And I'm just thankful for being who I am and alive and everything that I have. You don't have to look very far to understand how blessed each of us are, and I am definitely no different. I'm a very blessed man.
Coach, do you have any cooking responsibilities on Thanksgiving?
The fact that the last couple of years we've been playing late, so I've gotten out of that. So I get to. I think I'm supposed to be home here in a little bit and boil some sweet potatoes and get that ready, and then I pretty much just get out of the way. So I'm also blessed with great cooks around me too. So that's a good thing.
All right, let's say I'm following you through the buffet line. What are you making room for on your plate? What's that one go-to side dish?
I tell you, I'll eat just about anything, and I do on Thanksgiving. But the one thing that I will always have is a nice piece of fruit pie for sure. Some kind of apple, peach, something of that nature is. Even if I don't have room, I will make sure I have room. So that will be ending the day for sure.
Coach Oots, we've been visiting with here from Platte County, and Coach, we have a rule here at the Missouri Sports Network to become actually an official friend of the show. You have to make 3 appearances. So
okay,
you've made your 2. So go out and win, and we'll talk to you next week.
And I would love to be friends with you. We'll just put it that way.
All right. All right. You're listening to High School Game Day here on the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. And as always, the Missouri State Highway Patrol reminds us to take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow. God bless. We'll talk to you soon, Coach.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate all your.
Hey, welcome back to High School Game Day here on the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage, presented by the Bank of Billings, the oldest bank in Christian County. Go to Tipton High School now and welcome in Tipton head football coach William Duke. Coach, thanks for your time today.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Obviously a friend of the show, been on several times, but Coach, we were touting, the last couple of weeks that that Marionville Thayer game may be a state championship game, and obviously it wasn't. You get a 22-14 win over a very good Thayer team. Talk to us about that game.
Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me again. I really appreciate it. Being a friend of the show is special, man. I really enjoyed that. The Thayer game was a special game. It was great to see all the support we had from administration to get down there. It was about a 4-hour bus ride, and all of the parents and community members and alumni who came together to, ease that trip a little bit with food and travel expenses and stuff like that. And then the kids, what we told them is so many people came to help you through this. Really, all you need to do is focus on playing. And that's what they did. And I couldn't be more proud of them. You pick a kid on our roster and they worked their tail off all week to get to that spot. Whether they were a starter or a scout team kid, a freshman that's his first year playing, they all worked extremely hard and they were really, really focused to get there. So, it was fun to watch.
Obviously a defensive struggle, but tell us about the game just in general, and it, from the defensive point of view, and then you guys were able to push across, at 22-14. It was the final there, but it never really was over until the final gun went off.
It wasn't, we received and had a little bit of a setback by throwing an interception right away, but the field conditions were pretty tough. They were very, very wet. But none of our players ever said anything about it. They just kept playing, and we told them that Thayer was going to be a very physical football team. You could see it on tape. You could see it in the game, in the scout films that we watched. And I didn't see anybody back away from being physical. I saw them just continue to support and communicate with their teammates and get going. That front D line with Tyler Rivera and Ben Beshin and Chance and Petrie and Sam Duke, they all just got after it over and over and over again. And a lot of times being the smaller guy, but our linebackers would fill, they would wrap up. Our safeties were coming downhill. The corners were making sure that they had communication before the play to know what to do. It was really something to watch. And Thayer is a big physical football team, man. I think their only loss was to a team who played for the district title in Class 3 in Mountain Grove. So they were doing some really good things.
Yeah, coming out of that SCA, they've always been a big physical team. I've got to ask you this. Had you or anybody on your team ever been to Thayer?
I had not been to Thayer. Funny enough, we were driving home from Arkansas this summer and drove right past Thayer, and I was like, well, I wonder if we might play here this year. But Tipton has played Thayer, and Thayer has been kind of they've been kind of the people who have ended Tipton's season a couple of times. So I did have some alumni reach out to me and just say, hey, thank you. That was something I had worried about or reminisced about for a while.
Yeah, we had earlier in the show, we had Coach Ackland on from Mountain View Liberty, and he was a player, and then and Lamar had ended their season 7 times in a row, and they were able to get off, kind of, ding dong, the witch is dead, so to speak, but had to be exciting for your kids and your community to get that victory.
100%. Yeah, it was very, very special. When we when we look at that and we celebrated, I could tell the kids were happy. I could also tell they were wore out because they didn't talk on the bus ride.
Very good.
There wasn't a lot of hooping and hollering. They were just wore out.
Now you've got a West Platte team. Tell us a little bit about what you know about West Platte and what you're going to have to do to come out on top. And that is actually at home for you guys. So tell us a little bit about that.
West Platte is a very good, physical, fast football team. They are different than Thayer in the sense that, they're not putting 3 running backs in the backfield and running downhill at you, but they're still running option principles and ISO principles. The difference is they're really, really fast and they're very confident with what they do. And at any point in time, they could throw the deep ball and complete it. When you watch how much they're completing that, it's incredible how much they're completing it.
Is there a team on your schedule that you could compare West Platte to, that after seeing them on film, or are there teams a team that you've played this year?
That's a good question. I'm not sure how to do it at this time of year because you're going to get everybody's best game, right? I think that Fair Grove was in a lot of spread sets, just like West Platte, and they're every bit as good as they are. I think Skyline was in a lot of spread sets, and they have just as many, if not more, athletes than Skyline had, offensively, defensively. You could tell the kids are very confident in what they do. You could tell they're very athletic. I think they finished second in Class 2 boys track last year. So they're good at what they do.
Coach, at what point do you kind of start looking at the weather outlook? Because right now it's rain with a higher near 42. The chance of precipitation is 90% right now. Are you looking at that and hoping it changes?
We talked to the kids about it. West Platte called and asked if we would move the game to Friday. Our kids would like to play on Saturday. We played a very physical football game last Saturday. Having a little bit of time to heal would be nice. Number 2 is semifinal Saturdays are a pretty special thing. Whether the sun is shining or it's raining, we can't control either of those. What we can only control is our attitude and effort and energy when we play. So, last year I thought the weather got to us a little bit when we went to Penny. We've certainly discussed that this year. I don't think that it will get to us this year, knock on wood, based on their mentality from last week, because the field conditions were tough last week. But we've looked at it, we've acknowledged it, but we understand we can't change it.
Again, we're visiting with Tipton Cardinals head football coach William Duke. And Coach, if at 3 o'clock on Saturday, when I'm reading off the scores on our live football scoreboard show, and I read that Tipton defeated West Platte, what are 1 or 2 stats that you're going to be able to tell me, hey, this is why we won this game? Whether it's turnovers, time possession, what are 2 things stat-wise that you're looking at the most?
Well, we have to have ball security. We have to definitely protect the football. If it's going to be wet, we got to protect the football. You also have to control the line of scrimmage and do your job. Anytime you're playing an option team, you have to do what you're supposed to do. That doesn't mean don't go fast. It doesn't mean go slow. It just means if you're supposed to do a job, that's what you do, so that it doesn't put somebody else in a position where they feel like they have to do too much. So securing the football, controlling the line of scrimmage, and taking the football away from them. They've been in a couple games this year that were 40-30, 33-22, stuff like that. And they've been behind a couple times and they never, ever showed any kind of give up or let it go. So I know they're going to keep fighting.
Again, it's Thanksgiving weekend. It's always good to be practicing over Thanksgiving weekend. And Coach, do you have any cooking responsibilities in your house with regards to the feast?
I used to, but when we moved to Tipton here, the Catholic Church St. Andrews that I'm a member of, has this beautiful all-day celebration, food, an auction, just spending time with the community. So now my cooking thing is I go pick up the food.
Very good. And if I'm following you through that buffet line, what are you saving room on your plate for? What's your go-to side dish?
Well, you're gonna think this is funny, but my go-to side dish is gonna be pumpkin pie.
No.
I'm gonna get some stuff to eat, but I'm probably, as I get older, gonna limit the stuff that I'm eating there so I can have more pie.
Outstanding. And also with it being Thanksgiving, what are you reflecting on, whether it be this year or maybe even this week or your life, that things that you are thankful for?
Well, first and foremost, a relationship with Christ. I'm thankful for that every single day. I don't know where I would be without it, to be honest with you. And there's times that gets tough, and there's times that you doubt that you're doing the right thing, or that relationship is what it should be, or that your belief sometimes wanders, and I got to get better at that. So first and foremost, I'm thankful for that. My family, they're always supporting me no matter what I do or how crazy I sound. My mother recently kicked cancer's rear end, so I'm very happy for that. And then this community, not just my family and my parents and everybody else, but this team and this community just means the world to me. And if I could get to practice any sooner, I would. It's just a great part of my day.
Well, outstanding. Well, Coach, as always, you've been very generous with your time, a friend of the show, and hey, go out and get another victory, and we'll do this again next week.
It sounds great, Coach. God bless.
Hey, God bless. Bye-bye. You're listening to Missouri Sports Network at MissouriSportsNetwork.com. It's high school game day. Countdown to kickoff. We'll be back after this. Hey, welcome back to high school game day here on the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. And as always, presented by Doak Propane. Doak Propane, located in Polk County, Missouri. For all your Polk County or all your propane needs, see the folks at Doak. Please be joined now by a friend of the show, Hannibal head football coach Jeff Geschwender. Coach, thanks so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Coach, first off, let's go back a little bit to last week, a 41-12 win over West Plains. Tell us about that game.
West Plains is a good football team. They come out physical, they're big up front, aggressive linebackers. And offensively they have some really good receivers and good running back, good quarterback who can throw the ball quite a bit. But our kids came out and did a great job, as far as executing all the stuff that we worked on all week. Offensively, we they showed us a couple different things early on, so it took us a little bit to get some adjustments going. But then our kids did a great job of taking those adjustments, executing them, and just played a good, clean, physical game. It was a good game all around, both sides. And I was just real happy with our kids' work they put in execution Friday night.
Any young men in particular stand out for you guys?
Oh, I mean, we have quite a few guys that had good games, especially on the defensive side. Our defensive line, three guys, or Trey Hoskins, Aiden Scott, those guys did a great job of just getting pressure on the quarterback all night, making him uncomfortable. Made him make some decisions before he wanted to, and that always helps against a team that's got a strong passing attack. And then obviously our linebackers and safeties, just tackling well, coming in, safeties stepping in the box and playing the run game, linebackers making good reads like they've done all year, and really focused on the tackling and making sure that we're making those first contact tackles. So I was real proud of the defensive side of the ball, just how aggressive we were and taking the right angles, getting our eyes in the right spot.
Yeah, coming out of that contest relatively healthy.
Yeah, pretty much. Just bumps and bruises, little rolled ankle with one of our linebackers, but it's nothing serious as far as any serious injuries that puts anybody out. So we should be pretty good and healthy coming in.
What's the community think? I mean, you get to practice on Thanksgiving, and that's always a great thing when you're a high school football coach. You may miss some of the festivities, but what's it like getting to? And you've been here before. What's it like getting to practice over the holidays?
It's fun. The kids just have a little bit different excitement in them. It's not obviously it's a little bit different on routine, and I really like routine, but the kids really just buy into this stuff. There's not very many football players practicing on Thanksgiving. So, they just take a hold of that. They come out and have fun. There's a little bit more excitement in the locker room and on the field. So you just got to make sure that you're reining everything in and executing everything right and getting the work done that needs to be done. But, you don't want to keep them out here for a long amount of time. You want to get your work done and let them get home to their families and get have their Thanksgiving holiday. But it's fun. There's just a little bit more excitement coming into practice over Thanksgiving holiday.
Yeah, and again, we're visiting with Hannibal Pirates head football coach Jeff Geschwinder. They've got South Mary South Side, and you're playing there in the St. Louis area. What do you know about St. Mary's?
They're extremely athletic. They got some big guys up front. They're pretty young up front, but they got some guys that can flat get after it. They have a running back that is very special. I mean, he can pretty much do it all as far as power run game, speed on the outside, break tackles, make moves in the open field. I mean, he's the real deal for sure. So it's going to be a big test for us, especially our run defense. And they're not afraid to throw the ball. They got some speedy receivers that can make plays, and they got a quarterback that can probably throw the ball 70 yards. I mean, he can sling it. So we just have to do a good job of keeping everything contained, making sure that we're again being sure tacklers in the open field. And then defensively, they're fast and aggressive. They're athletic up front. They work on penetration on the defensive line. So we just, up front, we got to make sure that our weight's over our hips and our heads up, and we're playing with good hands. So and they got a linebacker that's a special player too. He does a good job of reading offensive lines, and he's a sure tackler. So it's going to be a good test for us. Kids are excited. We played a couple teams that's had some good speed and good athletic defensive linemen, and our kids are excited for the challenge.
And that was kind of my next question. I was just going to ask: is there a team, on your schedule that you played this year that you kind of compare to St. Mary's?
As far as the way they do things, really the last couple teams that we've played. Have a pretty strong running game, but are not afraid to throw the ball, 20, 25 times a game. So, and that's kind of how St. Mary is. As far as athleticism, we've seen a couple good receivers from Fort Zumwalt West and West Plains had a good all-state receiver. Now, as far as running backs, this is probably going to be one of the more talented running backs we've seen this year. So, but as far as the other ones, we've seen a couple things scattered out, maybe not all on the same team. So that just poses a whole another deal, in which we expect that this time of year. So, like I said, kids are excited for the challenge. They're making sure that angles are right and the eyes are in the right spot, and we're taking the right angles, being good tacklers and good blockers.
Coach, was there? I've just visited here with. Earlier today with Platte County head football coach Bill Oots, and they moved their game with Pattonville to Friday. Was there ever any thought of moving that with the weather that's coming in?
There was a little bit of thought, but we think that it's going to be okay as far as going ahead and playing it on schedule. We're expecting some rain. We played last week in the cold rain. But as far as snow and all that, it's going to be a nice challenge for everybody. But we just, there was just some brief mention of it, but we're wasn't a whole lot of thought put into it. We're just going to keep it as be.
Coach, and it's Thanksgiving week here, and it's always good to be talking football on Thanksgiving week. But as you reflect on with this holiday season, can you point at two or three things that you're specifically just thankful for, and maybe this year, maybe in your life?
First thing, obviously, I'm thankful for my family. They're extremely supportive. I know my wife goes through a lot during football season, and especially with having three kids. Two young daughters, and I got a high school boy. But really thankful to my family, my wife, my kids. Just for the support they have, the excitement they have with what we do. I'm thankful for the community and really our kids and coaches on the football team. We've dealt with some adversity this year, and our kids have kept their eye on the target and do what needed to be done throughout the season. And same with the coaches. Stayed grounded and made sure that we got the work done it needed to be. And I'm really thankful for the time that our players and players' family put in to have a good, successful season, in our coaches and coaches' families.
Coach, do you have and I talked with every coach I've talked to today. I've asked what are your cooking responsibilities on Thanksgiving, and most of them said, well, I've kind of gotten out of that, making this run, kind of gotten out of that. Do you have any cooking responsibilities, and have you gotten out any?
Well, when my wife's brother and his family comes over, my wife and I are pretty much cooking everything. She usually does the side stuff. I'll do the turkey, and then when we go to my family down at my mom's, neither one of us cook anything. My mom does it all. So
very good. And along that, if I'm following you through the buffet line, what are you saving room on your plate for? What's the one side dish that you're not going to pass up?
Noodles, homemade noodles. My mom makes homemade noodles every year, and they're the star of the show.
Outstanding. Well, Coach, as always, I greatly appreciate you being generous with your time. You've always been a friend of the show, and go out and win Saturday, and we'll do this all over again next week.
All right, sounds good. Thanks. I appreciate you having me.
You bet. Jeff Schwinder, head football coach for the Hannibal Pirates here on the Missouri Sports Network, presented by the Missouri State Highway Patrol, who reminds us to take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow.
You've been knocked down and got up again. In a corner, you're surrounded.
This time, that's a touchdown just off the bat.